All right, Hangout says we're live, so let's hope it doesn't fuck up like it normally does. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MMA Advocates presented by CrossBonesMMA. My name is Eddie Law. Out of Dayton, Ohio, we got Fred Kirby, and from the ABQ, Jacksonville, as I like to call it, we got Dave Rodriguez, man. How you fellas doing? Whichever wants to go
Fantastic, bro.
first.
How are y'all
There
doing?
you go.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Let's get to it and have a lot of shit to talk to tonight.
All right, cool. Let's go right into this last weekend's event, UFC Salt Lake City, which, by the way, is weird. I haven't heard from anybody yet if it was like a dry event or not, right? Do either one of you know if you could actually drink at that place? Because it was quiet as fuck during the event, like the entire time. It looked like fucking empty, didn't it? Like from what I
Yeah,
saw.
I would imagine. I would imagine you could drink there, though. What the fuck? It's just Salt Lake City, not goddamn it, a third world fucking nation.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, and the arena looked kind of empty. Go ahead.
Yeah, the crowd. Yeah, the crowd is super small. I mean, I think it was like I don't know, 8,000 or 7,000. I mean, when the UFC came to Albuquerque here, when they had the setup here, I mean, it's a pretty small event. I think we packed like 10,000, 11,000 in there. It's pretty much. I think it still holds as like the third highest grossing fight night when it took place here in Albuquerque. But yeah, that venue looked pretty empty, even in the main card in the main event.
Yeah, and I mean, and overall, like I only got to see the first couple of fights because I wasn't nowhere near television, so I got to watch the first two fights on my phone on Fight Pass. But how did Mr. Love My Bitches do? What's his name? Ishihara.
Hey, that's my fucking dude. I fuck with Ishihara. This is exactly what Japanese MMA needs. It's enough with the fucking nice guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These fucking Japanese nice guys. Yushin Okami was a good kid, but he was boring as shit. Had he had a fucking outrageous personality, he would have been fucking way more popular. It's just the reality. That shit sells a little bit, man. Him talking about bitches and shit, I personally love it. He's charismatic, and he can fucking fight. And he was exciting. He knocked Homeboy out, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that shit was super fucking successful.
And the fight itself, Dave. I mean, this dude has hands for sure. And of course, you know the personality. Yeah, but just like Fred was saying, the personality is what Japanese MMA has needed for a long time, and just they're too quiet. So now we got Ishihara freaking out. But as far as the fight skills, what do you think of the fight, Dave?
Yeah, like Fred is saying, I mean, the guy's he's very charismatic. He's he's a great character for the sport. I mean, you got the McGregors, you got all these different personalities. Everybody has their own, and he's kind of just in his own. He's pretty original, and I like that in it. And I think the sport, it's kind of they're going to grow to like this guy a lot, and especially if he keeps going in there and knocking people out, because obviously he's a very skilled fighter. So going forward, he's going to get some legit matchups. And yeah, a guy that he handled business in which the lead up to the fight, he had a lot of hype behind him. So a lot of times that's real difficult for fighters to show up, but he's definitely showing up, and looking forward to seeing that guy compete again in the octagon.
Yeah, and Gutierrez fucked up. I'll tell you how much. What up?
Let me tell you something. Did y'all see the tweet that he tweeted out after the fight?
No.
He tweeted out a tweet.
I seen it.
And it was him in a bed with 4 white bitches. And it said, "I love my Salt Lake City bitches."
Oh,
I swear to God, I love my Salt Lake City bitches. 4 white bitches.
I'm looking this shit up right the fuck now.
That's my hero. What the fuck? This dude is an animal. I swear to God.
I'm a fucking fan. I was already ordering his shirt. I can't.
That's in fucking Salt Lake City.
That's
4
awesome.
white hoes in Salt Lake City. Can you imagine this kid in Vegas?
Dude,
They're gonna keep him away from LA. He's gonna catch the fucking herpetitis.
Yeah, man. If there's like some kind of like herp fucking issue in Japan in the next couple of weeks, we know fucking who brought it over. That guy's crazy. But and then he said happy birthday to his mom or something like that, or right at the end of the fight, something like that.
Yeah. It was a solid ass performance, man. He couldn't have did no better. I mean, here we are talking about him, right? And he didn't speak a lick of English. Goes to show you. Everybody always makes this big deal about you need to speak English. Bullshit. You need to be interesting and kick ass. That's it.
And say funny shit in English when you can. I mean, when that last fight, his first fight, whatever it was, when he said, "I love my bitches," I fell over laughing. I was like, dude, keep an eye on this kid. Because if nothing else, he's funny as fuck, right? If nothing else. And I like funny people, so kind of what it is.
So, a lot of his fights, too. I mean, the guy, like, when he competed in Shudo, he has nothing but, like, TKO finishes. I think he's only got, like, a couple decisions. So coming into his own now in the UFC, it's good for the division. He's a young boss, 25 years old. So, yeah, I think they got to make a great matchup for him on a big card coming soon. And, yeah, we'll see him back in there soon enough. He's super fresh. He didn't take any real damage in that fight in Salt Lake.
Yeah, look, I put this kid on a main card. Maybe not a pay-per-view, but for sure an FS1 main card soon. If he does good there, please believe that kid's going to be a draw, and people are going to want to watch him on pay-per-view main card soon. So, I mean, that's
Easy.
Oh, chill, dude.
Look
You know
at
the. Hey, no,
you.
no, no.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you
Time
don't
out.
smoke crack. How easy
Time
you
out.
get carried away.
Time out. I'm thinking like the UFC. We were talking about this before the show even started. They don't make any sense. They don't give a fuck about sense. They give a fuck about cash. If this kid's a cash guy,
but that's what. Well, no, but that's what I mean though. I think you give the kid a really winnable fight,
okay.
and maybe put him in a headliner spot on Fight Pass, or
Okay.
maybe even the Fox Sports 1 prelims, because you almost get more notoriety there.
Oh,
like
yeah,
you have
you do.
seen that they've given a lot of fuck man, I missed the what the fuck Cub Swanson fought on the Fight Pass prelims,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
In
he
Salt
did.
Lake.
Yeah, and it was
I
good.
fucking missed it. I didn't fucking
Hmm.
know that. Hell, I didn't know they were putting goddamn it headlining spots on Fight Pass. Goddamn kids were going crazy. I thought I could miss that one. I found out later it was Cub fucking Swanson. So I think they know the value of those spots, man. The headlining spots are fucking important.
Yeah,
no matter what tier they're on.
No, exactly. And now that they want to make Fight Pass huge, that they're putting big fights as the featured fight on Fight Pass, so on the prelims on Fight Pass. So I mean, yeah, dude, when I heard Cub Swanson, I was like, I am not missing this fight. And that was actually a pretty good fight. It was legit.
Exactly.
So, shout out on the YouTube here. What up? Yeah, it was pretty close. Has he gone back to ABQ yet?
I'm not too sure if he's back here in Albuquerque. I think, because I've seen Arlovsky and a couple of them down the last few days down there. Haven't seen Cub. I think he owns a spot out there in Palm Springs, I believe. I can't think of the name. I think it's called True MMA. But yeah, I was talking with Jesse about that, and yeah, I think he hangs back out there. So I think for now he's pretty much posted out in California. But yeah, he's here back and forth here training with Isaac Valley Flag, and yeah, Cub's a man. I mean, Cub, I think they're gonna line him up with a pretty high profile bout next. I mean, still, Cub's hungry. It was a close bout. I mean, a lot of people were arguing it possibly could have been a draw. So I mean, I'll have to run that back a couple of times. Yeah. So I heard some arguments about a draw. So definitely want to check into that again.
I don't think so. I think Cub got that shit. All right. Shout out to the YouTube to our boy Nick is on there. He's at work. He's like, let's go. I'm bored at work. Shout out to Kasim and of course Jody tuning in here on the YouTube. Appreciate you guys. All right, moving on here on the card. What was the other weird fight? I didn't get to see this fight, but the heavyweight fight between Tabora and Pesta. What exactly happened? All I heard was it was a head kick. Dave, you see that one?
Yeah, no, I was in and out of the beginning part of the card. I kind of caught it around the Court McGee fight. I caught the entire fight. I just missed the Tabora Pesta. So, but I plan to rewatch it this evening and over the next few days because I always just go back and then rewatch all the prelims. So.
Those were the heavyweights, right?
Right, they were the heavyweights. I think
Tabora's like a big fucking European polar bear or some shit.
Massive bastard.
Yeah. He finished him in it was the second round finish. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that fight. I watched it. My kids were running around a little bit, but I did watch that finish. Dude looked fucking good. It was a fucking nasty head kick knockout. So obviously any kind of new blood at heavyweight's tight too.
Oh hell yeah.
Was that his first fight in the UFC?
I don't think so. I think it was his second. I want to say it's the second. I'm gonna find out.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought too. He looked good, man. Somebody keep an eye on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now what about the? Is there any other fights that were crazy? Because like I said, I missed it. I missed most of the card. Any other fights that were crazy?
Let me sum it up for you. Basically, I don't really remember exactly what happened, but the prelims were fucking fun, and then the goddamn main card started, and it fucking sucked. All due respect to all the fighters on the card, I don't want to be an asshole. Yeah, the first two little broads that opened up the card, that fucking fight was boring. Goddamn it, what the fuck? Talus Latis and that other prick.
You're boring?
Yeah, Talus Latis just put on a clinic against Kamosi. Yeah, just totally strangled him.
Yeah, Kamosi. Listen, man, Talus Latis looked good, but that shit was tedious to watch. And then finally, Talus got the finish with 2 minutes left in the third round, right before I blew my motherfucking brains out.
He put the Demetrius Johnson card. That sucks.
I swear he did.
And then another one that was interesting too was the Bermudez and Ronnie Jason fight. So I pretty much, like I said, caught the entire main card. Trevor Smith really putting it to Joe Gelati, really working over Joe Gelati, and I think that UFC debut. I mean, he was coming in with a lot of hype, a lot of KO finishes, and Trevor Smith, like I mentioned on the pre-show, a very big dude at that weight class, and yeah, he really handed it to Joe. But think he'll be back in the UFC.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Bermudez fight was a good one. I mean,
yeah.
and then now we'll get to the main event.
Now that you mentioned the Trevor Smith Gigliotti fight, Gigliotti trains over at Power MMA in Gilbert. I knew the name Trevor Smith was ringing a bell, but I can't remember where. That dude trains at Arizona Combat Sports. That's I trained there a long time ago, like for like a year. But that's a gym that Ryan Bader and all them belong to, and then they split off and they created Power MMA themselves. So it was like an Arizona in-state rivalry in fucking Utah, which to me it's a huge missed opportunity, to be honest with you. But for Trevor Smith to take to beat Gigliotti like that, everyone thought that Joe was gonna just kind of beat the shit out of him. And Trevor Smith, he's a slick bastard. I think he's a little older too, on the older side, like 30-some years old, 35 years old, something like that. Yeah. But regardless, let's talk about the main event here. Yair Rodriguez gets a decision over Alex Caceres. Why were people freaking the fuck out about this fight? I still have to watch it tonight, but why are they freaking out?
Just one thing I heard a lot is just Yair just throwing a lot of spinning techniques and just doing his thing, fighting his style. I mean, that's just the way the guy fights. I thought he fought great. I mean, Caceres showed up game. A lot of people were doubting that Rodriguez could keep it up for 5 rounds, but definitely it was his first 5-round fight, so I think he did very well. Caceres showed up. I think in post-fight interview, Caceres said that he made could have probably pulled the trigger a couple of times and this and that. He could have picked his spots a little bit better, but that's just the style that Yair Rodriguez is going to bring to the table each time. So I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. I think he's going to get bigger fights. I don't think they really need to slow him down right now. I think you got to get this guy the biggest fights. He's a big draw. He's got an exciting style. Just the fact that he was the showcase main event. He's there for a reason. He deserves it. He's on one of the top streaks in that division. I mean, who's above him? Max Holloway, Conor McGregor. You got Yair Rodriguez right below them. So in time, we will see Yair in a co-main event on a very big card, if not another main event soon enough.
Yeah, Jesse's actually watching on YouTube. Says worst card so far this year, and Nick agrees. So I mean, was it the worst card this year so far?
Ooh, it was up there, dog. It was a rough card, man. The prelims were fun, but the main card was pretty slow until the Bermudez fight. Quick shout out to Bermudez and Hani Jason. That fight woke me the fuck up and actually got me ready for the main event. That shit was fun. Bermudez landed a fucking disgusting elbow in like the second round or something, but it opened Hani Jason up. And I gotta say, I love that fucking shit. That's what I tune in for is the blood, baby. I don't tune in to get lullabied to sleep. If that was the case, I'd watch fucking boxing. I want to see motherfuckers bleed. I love it. That woke me the fuck up and got me ready for the main event. Let me tell you something, man. Let me preface this with saying I like Yair. Matter of fact, I like him a lot. I've got a lot of confidence in the kid, and I love watching him fight. That being said, you remember playing like Street Fighter back in the day, and you'd get like or like Virtual Fighter, and you'd get a special move, but when you did it, it sucked a little bit of your energy out.
Yeah. And
so if you kept doing it, that shit became less effective.
Right.
That's kind of the case with Yair Rodriguez. Don't get me wrong. I love the fucking random spinning kick.
Yeah.
That fucking little prick was spinning around the goddamn octagon for 3 rounds like a fucking tornado. I've never seen so much spinning shit. I tell you who was not fucking impressed was Nick Diaz.
Yeah.
He thought fucking Carlos Condit hit him with some spinning shit. He don't want to fucking fight Yair. That motherfucker was spinning more than a goddamn tornado in North Dakota.
Yeah.
And listen, in all reality, that shit is effective, and not just the spinning kicks, but he was throwing a lot of different kicks from a lot of different angles, and he was actually landing on Caceres a lot. And it's very exciting. He deserved the win, and I do think he should get a little bit of a bump up in competition. But I wouldn't go crazy with it for a couple reasons. I'll tell you what's odd about Yair is that he's fucking Mexican. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Okay. It's by the way he fights. His boxing, quite frankly, is shitty.
Yeah.
It's not very good. He was throwing boxing strikes like fucking backward hand slaps, Jack. He fights like Bruce Lee. His kicks are fantastic, but he definitely needs to shore up some just some basic like boxing techniques. You know what I'm saying? His boxing is loosey-goosey as fuck. And that worked with Alex Caceres because they were able to flow well together. If he fights a fucking top 5 guy that can plant his feet and throw off a good, clean, straight right, he might get his fucking jaw broken doing that shit. But he's exciting. It looked good. Too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. So I think he might want to start tempering that in a little bit. Maybe the element of surprise, just a little bit with some of that spinning shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a fun-ass fight, though, dog. You know what I'm saying? It was entertaining as shit. He did seem like he also gassed a little bit in the 4th and 5th, but Jesus fucking Christ, you can't keep fucking throwing 720 fucking spin kicks and not eventually gas out. For as much output as he put out, I wouldn't say he's really got a problem with his gas tank. He just needs to conserve his energy a little bit. I mean, the 1st and 2nd round, man, he was throwing the fucking kitchen sink at Alex Caceres. All kinds of fucking kicks.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think there's a solution to that, and I think I've heard Yair reference it before. He does work with Mike Valle, who's a pretty dominant wrestling coach. He is his striking coach. He doesn't really work all the time with Izzy Martinez because he mentioned like the wrestling style, the wrestling dominant style. But I think that'll go well for him to do more of that, as well as factor in a lot of hours with Brandon Gibson out here in Albuquerque at Jackson Rink, and I think that'll sharpen up his game very, very much. And I think in his next bout, look to see him putting in a lot of work out here in Albuquerque with BKB. So I think that's going to happen real soon.
All right, yeah. I mean,
so listen, that's interesting. What do you do with him next, though? Now this was a nice win for him. It was a headlining spot on a weird fucking card out in bumfucked Egypt, but a headlining spot nonetheless. Who would you match him up with next?
Dave, take that one, man.
I mean, there's a couple guys at the top of that list. I mean, it's kind of like, you don't want to give him, too much of an opponent, but I think I mean, Dennis Bermudez is on the same card. I mean, maybe that's a fight they could put together. He presents a different style that would probably, force Yair, right? And then it's a 3-round fight. If it's Yair in a 3-round fight, I think he's a different fighter in a 3-round fight. So his style, like I said, was questioned by a lot of people that, hey, he can't keep it up. And Caceres is going to be a little bit, going to be ready for all that. But Caceres fought well. I think Yair is a different fighter in a 3-round fight. But going forward, I mean, there's several options you can give him. You can give him Darren Elkins. I mean, there's a couple guys out there. I mean, like we were just talking before the show.
God.
Give him a zombie.
Brian T-City Ortega's got that fight with Hacker and Diaz. I was kind of, going to throw them names in there. But
I like that. I like that one with T-City. I like that fight. I like that fight.
So I think, there's a couple guys, the Bermudez, the Elkins, there's a couple right there. Top 10 guys are just outside of the top 10 for Yair.
Yeah, a couple comments here on the YouTube. Kasim says, time to promote Yair to the Mexican market and build him up to a superstar. And then Jesse says, I told you guys Yair would not beat Caceres easily. But, I got to say, he says, next you give him a top 15, nothing above top 10. I agree with that. I don't think he's ready for an upper 10 guy yet.
I do agree with the Mexican market thing, though. To be honest with you, man, I think he...
Brad, go ahead.
No, he'll likely be on
the Mexican market thing, man. Yeah, for sure. It's a lag, dog. No, for sure, bro. The Mexican card is where you want Yair. I think he could be a bigger star in Mexico than Kane.
You know what? Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Like, he's a legit Mexican.
Right.
He's not like you, Eddie. He's not like you, Eddie.
I'm legit, you fuck. I came from there, you bitch. All right? Take your ass to fucking Cincinnati with that bullshit. Take yourself to Cincinnati. I'm the real as it gets, motherfucker. All right? God, bullshit, motherfucker. Anyway, Dave, what were you saying, dude?
Oh, no, that's what I was saying. I mean, yeah, they need to really promote Yair, and I think the next card you're going to see him compete on is the Mexico City card. So they're already stacking that one up, and I think they could position him on there on the card pretty high up. Or it could just be one of those Fight Pass prelims where they showcase Yair. They could do that for him too as well, like the Cub Swanson fight. But I think the Yair deserves a great top-notch opponent just outside of the top 10. I agree with the YouTube comments. That's where I see Yair going next, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I think that the Mexico card's in October, I think.
I think it's November.
Dude, plenty of time. Book him on that main.
Yeah, it's just before the Madison Square Garden show. I think it's the week before that.
Yeah, but book Yair on that main card and see what you see. If you tell him, hey, this is your chance to show the fuck up and make yourself a star. So, we'll see what the young man does. All right, I think that's it for that card. Now, there's a couple things we could talk about, and this just literally, I was looking at on Twitter, and I just saw this right now. You guys tell me what you think. There's a video now of Cyborg, Chris Cyborg, crying during the cut before her first UFC fight. Two things. One, why the fuck is this video out there? I mean, like, why would you release that shit when you're trying to make an argument for like...
She's crying?
She's freaking crying. She's on the ground crying, and they're like covering her with a towel. but she's like crying on the floor naked. And it's just like, why the
What's
fuck
this
is
got
out?
to do with her fighting a goddamn tomato can?
Well, no, but the weight cut. But the fact is, whoever released that shit's making the point that it's hard for her to even make 140, or 145, whatever that was.
I don't give a fuck. Again, what does any of this have to do with her fighting a tomato? Here's my point. I don't care about any of that. There's plenty of girls at 135 that she should be fighting that will fight her at 140. Hell, there's plenty of girls that will fight her at 145, I'm sure, because Cyborg's a money fight. Fucking Sarah McMahon. I could go on and on the girls that would fight her. I'm so fucking sick and tired of Cyborg fighting fucking bums. It's worse than MVP. At least in Bellator, they got the excuse that they don't got a fucking laundry list of top fighters. I have no idea why the UFC is booking Cyborg versus a nobody. All due respect to the girl she's fighting, she's a fucking nobody. Cyborg should be fighting goddamn Ronda Rousey or some shit.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you, Fred. You brought it up before. I couldn't agree with you more, man. And I did see a tweet recently where Cyborg was asking if Megan Anderson would be able to make weight to possibly fight her, in the UFC, or would she rather compete for the Invicta title? So I want to see, Cyborg against, a name. It's been long overdue. Whether it's Miesha Tate, like you said, Fred, there's a list of them out there, but Miesha Tate's one of them we referenced right after UFC 200. So they got to get her against somebody. I mean, it's been ticking. The clock has been ticking on Cyborg for too long. They could, make her the champ at 145 in the UFC or whatever they decide to do. I mean, they could present a lot of opponents that would be down to fight her, absolutely, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess that's my point. Like, the whole weight cut in her crying video, they can say that shit. That shit does absolutely nothing for my tear glands. I don't give a fuck. Book her in fights at 45, but book her against girls that can fucking fight, man. It's enough with us watching her slaughter the lambs.
Yeah, on YouTube here, Kasim says it's for a documentary, so in that case, that makes sense that it's out. Mike Jarb says Cyborg needs to stop. I mean, look, Dave, you were saying right now, the clock is clicking, the clock is ticking. I think it's done. I think we're past it. And I kept saying over and over, I said the second Ronda Rousey loses a fight, that shit's over. No one's going to give a fuck at all. And what happened? Nobody gives a fuck.
No, listen. I do disagree with you there. I think that Cyborg is a star. She is a star. But they've got – listen, it takes two to dance, right? Nate Diaz has been a star for a month of Sundays. He didn't really blow up until he fucking fought Conor. You need that other fucking dance partner, man. Cyborg is a star, no doubt, but she can't keep fighting nobodies. I don't give a fuck about her fighting a nobody. I'd be so fucking stoked if they did the Miesha Tate fight. And let me tell you something. It ain't because of goddamn Miesha Tate. Much as I like watching her little tits jiggle, it's not because she's going to be in the fight. It's because Cyborg actually gets tested. Cyborg is the star, but they have got to throw her a fucking bone. I don't get it, man.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, and Kasim makes a point here, says, just open up a 145 class or division already. We can start with Cyborg crushing cans and the talent will catch up. And the thing is, while I kind of agree with that, open up a division for that weight class, because I think a lot of those girls at 135 would say, fuck this weight cut, let's move up, right? Fred also has a good point. Cyborg is not going to be around forever. You need to get her a real fight sometimes, ASAP. Fight her against someone that she can fight. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a money fight or anything, because even Mike Jarvis makes a point saying Cyborg doesn't deserve the money fights. There's not really a money fight for her anyway. You need to get her girls that can fight her. The Tates, like Fred was saying. Hell, I wouldn't mind seeing Holly Holm against her. See if Cyborg, because you know how Cyborg rushes people, and Holm is very good at getting away, getting in, getting out, getting out. Except against girls named Shevchenko. But, yeah.
That's a fight that needs to be put, Eddie. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Holly said that she would accept the fight.
Yeah.
I mean, Holly said yes, let's do it.
Exactly. Cyborg blitzes chicks, right? She goes in and just balls out, Vanderlei style. What will she do when she can't catch that person like Holly Holm getting away from her, right? What will she do, and will she gas out? I want to see that kind of shit. And I wouldn't mind. Hey, look, Cyborg against a former champion will be legit.
Who is the biggest name that Cyborg has legitimately beat? Cyborg is literally becoming fucking Fedor without the Nogueira. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. At least Fedor fought Nogueira in his pride. He fought a couple names way back when. Yeah. Who has fucking Cyborg even beat?
Corona way back in the day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gina Carano. What the fuck?
And back then, I mean,
she literally hasn't fought since that fight.
Yeah, that's why if you're not a fan of women's MMA, I mean, that was before the UFC, had the women's division, long ages before. So that's nobody really knows that shit even took place as we speak right now.
I remember when that fight happened with Gina Carano and Cyborg. Before the fight started, I felt fucking awful. I'm like, oh, she's gonna beat this fine ass girl to death, and she fucked her up. Anyway, every man shed a tear after that fight. Every man did. It's like, oh, don't beat that pretty girl's ass like that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there you go, Dave.
Right. She hasn't fucking beat nobody, though. She needs to beat fucking somebody to make us care.
Definitely.
Hey, man.
Hey, welcome, everybody. We got a special guest. I mentioned it on Twitter. Everybody know who he is. The man himself, Eugene S. What's happening, my man?
Hey, what's going on? I don't know if you can see me, but I can see all of yous.
Yeah, definitely.
Ah, Mr. Purple Suit. You just revealed yourself.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
so
man.
okay, so what were you guys talking about before I got here?
We were talking about
Cyborg,
right?
the less. Yeah.
Cyborg. Yeah, Cyborg. Because Cyborg, like, there's a video out now. There's a documentary coming out about her, and they actually released a clip of her crying during her weight cut for her first UFC fight. So we went from there, and then we went into possible fights that that they need to make for Cyborg, before she's done fighting. So who would you put against Cyborg? Like, if you were the matchmaker, who would you put her against? Like, as soon as possible.
Well, if I'm Joe Silva, this is the thing. It's like when you have problems at work and you go to the HR person. Most people think that the HR person, because they're nice and comforting, is there for them. HR person is not there for them. HR person knows who fucking pays them.
Yeah.
So Joe Silva might have some ideas about what's good for Cyborg, but really he's not thinking about what's good for Cyborg. So now we can sit and say, I think what's good for Cyborg is a fucking money fight. And all of her good fights, all the possibilities for her right now are money fights. Except her money fights are somebody else's loss of money fights. So they put her against Honda Housey. What happens? She's ruined forever. There's a possibility with no Cyborg in the picture, there's still dancing Ronda. She could still fucking, there are matchups that you'd want to see. Cyborg ruins all that. Holly, you still want to see her maybe fight against Honda again. She comes in, destroys. Holly's done. She is a destroyer. And I don't see any real credible challenges. Not Nunes. Who? So they got to keep her active because people want to see her. But she's shutting things down. It's a tough call to make. So the question is, who can you
sacrifice? Misha.
That's right. Who can you sacrifice? And I would say fucking Misha, because no matter where Misha goes, she's got one fight left. Seriously, right? Yeah. She fights Ronda again, and she loses to Ronda. Done. She fights Nunes again. She loses. Done. She fights Holly and she loses. Well, maybe she's not so done. So at most, she's got 2 more fights. So she's the likeliest victim.
Perfectly said. That's exactly. I said that on the last show that we should take Misha out and let Cyborg snuff her, because then you can let Cyborg ride that wave of momentum. Everybody knows Misha. Everybody loves Misha, but Misha ain't sniffing a title shot no more. So why not?
Yeah, it's a nice step, and she could hold her own enough so that Cyborg won't shut down a division like she did at Strikeforce. She beat Carano so bad people didn't even want to see that shit anymore. So
No, it's kind of crazy. And bringing in Jesse here with the Pokestop van. What's up, dude?
What's up?
What's happening, Jesse?
Had to clean up the van before I came on here. No evidence.
Okay. All right, you know what, man? This is on fucking the internet. All right, you gotta be careful what you say, man. People watch this shit and get crazy. Anyway,
Clorox, man, Clorox.
you gotta turn him into you gotta turn him into Hispanic Walter White, dude. I'm fucking telling that shit.
Yeah, don't give this fucking guy no ideas. Fucking parked on the wrong side of town, hanging out with Clorox bottles.
Oh shit, dude. All right, let's move on to something else here. 2 guys that have recently entered their names into what do they call the USADA pool, so they're gonna get tested. George St. Pierre and Chael Sonnen. Let's talk about the second guy first. Chael Sonnen. There's a rumor out there. People are talking about a possible Chael Sonnen Nick Diaz matchup, and Fred's already laughing. Now, Fred, what do you think of that shit? I mean, too crazy?
You know what, man? I don't give a fuck about that fight, to be honest with you. Like I said before we went live, I'll tell you why I don't care about that fight, man. Because I don't want to see Chael Sonnen hold Nick Diaz down. I don't think does anybody really care if Nick Diaz can stop Chael Sonnen's fucking takedown? What the fuck, Jesus? Are you about to get fucking, like, shot or what? The FBI behind you? Tell them to cut their sirens off. I need to see my fucking face.
I'll turn it down. Go ahead.
I don't love that fight, man. Look, they're both huge stars. Why waste them together in a fight that doesn't make a whole lot of sense? I think there's a lot of different fights you can book for both of those cats that are a lot funner. Can we get motherfucking Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz too already? For Christ's sakes.
Yeah. Well, you know, the reality of it is they're booking that fight purely on the basis of smack. You know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, which in my mind means they should just book it for the smack and not have those guys actually fight each other. Just have them drawing at each other, and they can fight different people. You know, like people who need fucking help with like that. Who was that guy? Garbrandt, man. That was the most miserable smack talk ever. You know, ever, man. So like, you could have him. It's like you have a pinch hitter, right? The guy comes out, hits just like that.
He's a pinch hitter. You gotta bring in. You can see Cody Garbrandt in an interview. Like, give me 1 second. Let me bring in my pinch hitter. And then Chael Sonnen comes to the screen. What's up, motherfuckers? Like, that'd be that'd be the shit. I would love to see that shit. Holy shit! I never thought about that. That'd be awesome. But Dave, Nick Diaz coming back and Chael Sonnen coming back. Neither one has fought in years. They were both suspended for some shit or other. These guys come back. They fight each other. Why should they make that fight? Or why would they make that fight? Besides the smack talk.
Yeah, I mean, just pinpoint accuracy. Based on smack talk alone, that fight would sell itself. I mean, they may not even actually have to show up to the fight that night, but yeah, the lead up would be incredible. But yeah, both these guys, you know, coming off suspension. I mean, you got Chael Sonnen, you know, kind of just joking about, hey, I'm entering the pool. I'm gonna see if they're actually gonna flag me or not. I mean, we don't really know what's gonna happen with Chael Sonnen. I mean, it's like, hey, he could be clean enough to compete, and then hey, say he does compete and then he fails, or he does, you know, something that's likely to go down. You know, that's why the fight does happen. I mean, we're talking Chael Sonnen here versus Nick Diaz, so just those names alone. But the fallout, I mean, is the whole deal. But, you know, you got Chael Sonnen jokingly about USADA and making his remarks about that. So, I mean, I guess I'd like to see Chael come back. But if he's not fighting Vanderlei Silva, then, I mean, I'd like to see, you know, other things take place in the meantime. But Nick Diaz has got other high-profile bouts, I think, ahead of him. But the Chael Sonnen fight, absolutely, I don't agree. I don't want to see it.
Speaking of that, GSP talking shit, Jesse. GSP talking about, you know, he got himself back in the USADA pool, of course, just as Sonnen did. And now GSP says that he wants that Nick Diaz rematch and that it's way worse than last time. Do you want to see that shit, Jesse?
Not too much, but I mean, I think what it'll be worth at least is the fact that you'll get Nick Diaz the exposure that, you know, his brother's getting right now. You know, put him on a card, you know, get him that paycheck that he wants. You know, that's what it'll serve. But you know, back to the point, I think somebody mentioned on our conversation on Twitter, I think it was you, Dave, that you know, they were possibly targeting, you know, Chael Sonnen, you know, in that fight for what was it, the New York card. And you got to think about it. If they just put themselves into the testing pool, it's not enough time. They need 4 months, and neither of them are gonna take that exemption like Brock Lesnar did. So you're looking at maybe like a beginning of the year card, more like it, maybe like a New Year's Eve card, which would make sense because, you know, think about that, like bringing a New Year's Eve card, you know, with some big names trying to make a big splash into the new year. I think that would make more sense than, you know, I almost would say wasting those fights on the New York card. I think the New York card is going to be on its own good enough. I don't think it needs that type of firepower.
Well, and I think you're being gracious by calling it firepower, man. I mean, this is Chael. I mean, who gives a fuck about Chael? I'm sorry. I like the guy, but I don't give a fuck. I mean, I want people to dig deeper into why Chael's even putting his name in there anyway. Because what that means is dude's sitting at home every 2 weeks wondering when the paycheck's going to come in, and the commentating is not making it work. I mean, hey, there's nothing worse you know, the people who, you ever see people who do porn, who don't want to do porn? That's simultaneously some of the best porn and some of the worst porn ever, man. You know, Chael is like that. It's like, man, he doesn't want to be out there fucking. He doesn't want to do it, but he's got to do it to eat, because what else is he going to do, felon that he is, you know? So, I mean,
but also, here's the thing.
He's got to sell. Think about this. He's got to sell by date too. Fuck that guy.
But think about this though. Anybody, you go to pretty much anybody that is an MMA fan, right? And you say, hey, Chael Sonnen's gonna fight. Most of those guys are gonna be like, oh, okay, cool, man. He talks a lot of crap. I like that. So at least you got name recognition, which is what we're missing a lot in pretty much MMA right now. You know, Fred was talking about the tomato cans that, you know, MVP's fighting over there. If you had someone like Rory McDonald go over there and fight him, that's name recognition. That puts your people back up in the spotlight. And I think same firepower is what I'm saying about that. You're getting that name recognition, that boost in sales just for that purpose. His fight is not going to be as good. Come on, think about it. His last good fight, what was it?
Well, his last good fight was getting
where he choked out Shogun.
That was great.
Oh, the John Jones fight?
Listen, man, I'm down with him using his star power, but use his star power against somebody else that's fucking boring and tedious. Like Eugene said, nobody gives a shit about Chael, because I don't want to see Nick Diaz get held the fuck down. Nick Diaz is fun. Bring him back and let's have a fun fight.
Robbie Lawler. Fucking do that fight, right?
And listen, the UFC is not beyond making fun fights just for the sake of making fun fights at this point. That's kind of what they do. That's why we're getting Conor Nate, because it's fucking fun. You know what I'm saying? Don't waste Nick,
Anderson
man.
Bisbee.
When's the last time we saw Nick Diaz in a good fight? Because they kept booking him against people who want to fuck him.
Yeah,
but then again, Nick
speaking of GSP.
Right?
Exactly. Will you guys fucking hang me? If they give GSP Nick Diaz too, I'm going to fucking kill myself. Please, give GSP fucking Anderson Silva. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, right. No, the fight that he actually avoided forever. That's actually right. That was a fight he avoided. Every time they would mention it, he would look sick to his stomach, you know? And he probably...
man. I mean, listen, that's a fight we would care about.
He kept bringing up that weight difference, right? He didn't want to eat any more poutine up there to make that weight.
Well, now he could also say that since Anderson's come back pissed dirty, well, I won't go against any. But you know, that's, man, you can run, Jack, but hiding is not helping you.
Yeah, no, not at all. But look, if GSP does, I mean, look, GSP put his name in, he's on his comeback. So besides Anderson Silva, because obviously he's running from that fight, I don't think I've heard him say anything about that fight. He's mentioned Tyron Woodley, he's mentioned Nick Diaz, he's mentioned fucking Conor McGregor. For some reason, this asswipe thinks he can make 155. It makes zero sense. He would die before he makes 155. Okay, if Cyborg's crying, GSP shoot himself in the fucking head during that weight cut. But Fred, who do you give GSP in this comeback?
Listen, man, if they don't give him the Anderson fight, which you talk about star power, right? Jesus, that's what you do. Anderson Silva, GSP is star power. Plus, they're at a twilight in their career that either, no matter who loses, nobody gives a fuck. Right. If GSP loses, he goes back to being retired. Anderson Silva's done lost a couple times. It doesn't matter. If they don't do that fight, technically, even though I would agree, or I would think that we would all agree that Johnny Hendricks probably won that last fight, George St. Pierre is still the fucking 170-pound champion. So if they're going to bring him back like that, let him fucking fight T Wood. Fuck it. I definitely don't want to see him drag Nick Diaz down.
Nope.
Like that.
Nope.
What about T Wood Nick Diaz, Eugene? Because T Wood was talking about, I want to fight Nick Diaz.
You know what? He's smart, and he's doing. Everybody, if you don't think that Nate has changed the way the game is played, you're crazy. Because people are hearing all about the money that he was making. I'm like, wait. I'm getting my head beaten in by a guy in the top 5, and I'm not getting that much. Screw that. Everybody's going for the money fight now. That's why he's picking up a Diaz, because it's a money fight. But you know, it only helps if you can beat him. As Conor McGregor's finding out. And of course Conor McGregor is in a place exactly where the bald one wanted him to be. You know, he's controllable. You know, because he whether it's real or perceived, his market value is now in flux. You know, is it high? Is it low? He's talking WWE. Nobody knows. So if Woodley goes against Diaz, he's got to turn that shit up. He's got to, you know, because a loss is not going to hurt Diaz as much as a loss is going to hurt him.
Oh, absolutely. Now, let's stay on that point, I guess. If obviously we got that fight coming up just in less than, I think, 12 days, something like that, which, like 2 weeks maybe. But regardless, that fight's coming up. That's the next UFC card. You know, Eugene, McGregor losing the first time, and people, I mean, Dana White came out and made every excuse possible for him. Nobody mentioned that Nate Diaz was, taking tequila shots and smoking blunts in Mexico on a fucking boat. Yep. Nobody said shit about that. Everyone was like, oh, Conor's so brave for moving up 2 weight classes. Conor this, Conor that. Eat a dick, motherfucker. You had a full camp, and Nate Diaz came out and beat that ass, okay? Fuck it. Now, both guys had a full camp. All right, we get this fight in here. Let's say Nate loses, or not Nate, McGregor loses. He has to go defend that belt. And I mean, to me, like, his relevance will be there, right? If he loses that title shot, let's say Aldo whoops his ass and takes his belt, whatever. I mean, McGregor is basically done, right? I mean, you wasted him away.
Well, but yeah, nobody gives a fuck about him going back down because Nate put a period on that sentence. He goes, "You've been fighting midgets. If you don't think that's got legs, not a single person is not thinking that. He's been fighting midgets. He's been fighting midgets. It's in his head. It's in my head, you know. Yeah. I mean, you look at how comfortable he looks at the weight he is, and then look at guys like Aldo and now Eddie Alvarez is trying to get a piece. Those are legitimate guy. You know, I mean, come on. You know, he hit Nick. Yeah, I'm sorry, he hit Nate with shots that he was used to putting people away with, and Nate just goes, you know, like a cartoon character. You know? Come on, man. So yeah. I mean, the thing is, you know, McGregor is done, but he's done and he's not done. In other words, he's no longer Mr. Shot Caller anymore in regards to Zuffa. No fucking way. No way. He can threaten to go to WWE. Fine, threaten it. But you're no longer the shot caller here. But you're still a money guy, at least for a little bit. So, you know.
Yeah. And to add to that, guys, I mean, it gets a little bit deeper, a little bit more interesting, and I'm kind of looking at the fight at a little bit different angle now after hearing a little article or reading an article about John Kavanaugh. And he's basically saying, you know, his, coach, his legacy's on the line here. His reputation rides on Conor basically winning this fight and whatever, dramatic fashion, however it plays out. But that's adding to the pressure of the moment. I mean, it's a big state card. I mean, if that's the way, they're going into this fight, looking at it like that with that. I mean, how does Conor feel, knowing that his coach is saying, hey, my reputation is on the line through you. He's going to still be the champ, if he takes a loss. But I've heard Eugene say it before, and I 100% agree. He's just not the same guy, and he will not be the same guy, win or lose, in 2 weeks.
Now, what do you mean by that? But he's not the same guy.
Just by the loss, just the way he sounded on the pre-fight call, just the stuff he's talking. He's just talking a whole different game. He looks different when they did when they had the face-off. When you could just tell in the face-off with Nate the second time around, you could just kind of tell, and those signs were pretty telltale the first time out. Him flinching at the weigh-ins, him kind of throwing the fist at Nate when they faced up the first time. So it's deeper now, and then that just kind of, like I said, adds to it with Kavanaugh adding that pressure, saying, hey, my reputation's on the line. So very interesting that came about, and I'm looking at the fight in a different angle just reading that.
Hey, like Sorrell says, man, the things that get broken when you lose sometimes never fixed.
Yeah.
But you know what though, to add to that though, I think the good thing is for Conor, at least we know that he knows how to lose because he's lost before. He has 2 losses before this loss. He was on a nice little run where he thought he was invincible, blah 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 blah, and they gave him basically unlimited cash on to do whatever he wanted. But I think the big point about this whole thing is that I think a lot of us are forgetting. You got to go back and look at that fight. Even though Nate Diaz was a little rusty in that first round, he was still eating a lot of shots. And I think that them seeing a lot of how his attacks were still able to get through, and even though he pretty much got up trying to knock out Nate Diaz in that first round, I think there's a lot of things that they can improve and probably make it a better fight. Will they win? I don't know, man. It's a lot of pressure to put on Conor at this point, but we've seen him be in pressure fights. I mean, basically he had the whole island of Ireland in Las Vegas when he fought Jose Aldo. Like it was Ireland basically over there, and that whole pressure, the whole thing of performing, and he did exactly what he needed to do that night.
Yeah,
put that punch exactly where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but there was no weight on his back as a result of his loss to Duffy. The weight of Diaz on his back, man. It's on his back, in his head, in his stomach, everywhere.
Think about this though. From that fight, from that loss to Duffy, he retired. He basically retired and said, "I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore."
Yeah.
And then it took Kavanaugh, to mentally bring him back, to fix him back, put him together, and bring him back into the game. And he wasn't going to do it until he got the call from the UFC.
Yeah, but that shows you his relationship to loss.
He fucking quit after that first one.
Yeah, he's no Wes Sims. He's like 6 fights, or who's that guy, Joe Cavey, who I wrote about, 26 to 0-26. Fuck that. No, he couldn't.
No.
Yeah.
And to add to the earlier point, I think to put GSP in a fight, I think if you're gonna put that name on somebody and use GSP's like clout to push somebody over, I think you're gonna have to do T. Woodley against Nick Diaz, and I think you're gonna do GSP against Wonderboy. I think that's how you get the most bang for your buck. You get, 2 top contenders, two guys that are gonna get something off the names.
Put that fucking crack pipe down. Right now, ain't none of that shit happening. First off,
why?
Wonderboy and GSP fuck around. They're homeboys, so that shit ain't going down for sure. Quite frankly, this is all fucking fantasy anyways. Aren't they about to book Wonderboy versus T. Wood?
Yeah.
It's supposed to.
That's why the Eddie Alvarez and Khabib was their talks of both those fights being the MSG card, but.
Right. But you said that they were going to wait on the Khabib Alvarez thing to see what happens with Conor and Nate. That's what we were talking about before the show. I think if Nate wins, I don't think he gets a title shot. I think that's exclusively for Conor at 55. Because, like I said, they're not doing this rematch for Nate. Had Nate lost to Conor, the train would have kept on moving, Jack. That was what was planned to happen. They're just trying to get this one back so they can keep promoting Conor as the undefeated force. And if he wins, I think you'll see Eddie Alvarez fighting Conor like RDA was supposed to.
And do you see Conor dropping the 145 belt at that point? Because, I mean, how long has it been since he fought at 145? And he's got to defend that damn belt at some point. So, I mean, Fred, do you pull the belt and make all of the outright champs?
I mean, listen, he ain't got to do a goddamn thing but stay Irish and die. We'll see what Joe Silva and the Baldwin says. I mean, whatever they feel like they can make the most money doing, he didn't need to fight RDA. He wasn't deserving of that fucking shot. Not from the jump street, he wasn't. But he was going to get it. So we'll see, man. If Aldo can raise enough scuff and that fight makes money, then maybe they will make him defend his 45 first. But if they can run and give him a double title, hey, what the fuck is Jose Aldo going to do about it? Go to Bellator?
Yeah, true. All right. What fuck I had you doing? Oh yeah, the co-main event. I almost forgot about it. You got Anthony Rumble, Johnson Glover, Teixeira, Eugene. Winner of that fight gets DC.
Say it again. Winner of the fight gets DC.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to do something, right?
Right.
Guy can't stay on ice for another whatever. We don't even know how long. So why not? Well, nah. Yeah, I guess that would be fair, right? Because he already beat the fuck out of Rumble. So Rumble should have a very short trip back if that's the case. If Rumble gets iced by Teixeira, then he's a yesterday story, and which is a possibility. And then I would be excited to see Teixeira against DC. But otherwise, what's DC gonna do? You got to sharpen your sword to have a sword be sharp. And who knows what kind of a suspension? But let's be optimistic and say they test a secondary supplement. They find out that the store GNC is putting out shit, and they say, well, this is exculpatory evidence. Dude is back in 6 months. Crazy, I know. Say it's 6 months. That's still a DC that's 6 months older, man. A DC that, what's he doing in that time? Ring rust is a reality, even if you're taken off for reasons other than injury or something like that. So I don't care. Oh, there's no ring rust. Bullshit. There is. So these are dangerous fights for him, and he can't afford them. But yeah, make these guys fight, and then say I'll fight the winner, and then have that shit be down the road, and then maybe they'll make a determination about the punishment for Jones, and it'll be inside some kind of framework. You go, well, wait. First I'll do this, and then I'll get back to you guys. But this has fucked everything up, and I gotta blame New Mexico.
Oh, Dave, what up? How you respond, Dave?
Man, I don't know. I just, without John Jones in the picture right now, I mean, who would have seen this as a possible scenario where DC is just, like Eugene said, he's basically on ice. He's going to be 6 months older. He's going to be however much older with the next time he competes. DC's an older guy. I think his time to fight Johnny Bones was not at UFC 200. It was the previous bout. It was the 197 booking. I think that was his time to fight, and that was the time that it was supposed to happen. I know that DC had some issues with his knee. He had the stem cell stuff, and it took some time for him to, get back to true form. And I think he had a great training camp for UFC 200. But just the whole USADA deal with John, I have heard, that there are whispers about like the supplements and stuff like that with GAT. As you all know, John doesn't really no longer, show any of those photos of him powerlifting at the gym and stuff like that. So it's kind of makes you wonder where it came from, you know what I mean? So if it's supplement-wise, it's something like that, we'll hear the truth soon enough. And, he's out of the rankings currently right now. So if it's that 6 month period, I guess the Rumble and Teixeira fight, we'll have something for DC, and he can defend his belt. And then I think John will probably, if it's the 6 months, I think we'll see John back in 2017 at some point. I would love for that to be the scenario that plays out.
Man, I thought you were going to represent, man. Fuck.
You know what? John Jones is fucking dead to me. Right? He's fucking dead to me. He tested positive for the same shit that Brock Lesnar did. Don't give me no bullshit about GNC, okay? I wish it would have been fucking cocaine or weed so he could still be my goddamn hero. He's fucking dead to me. And listen, y'all are right, man. DC's no fucking spring chicken. He's a bit long in the tooth. He's got to fight somebody. Of course, listen, if it's not those two cats, it's got to be Gustafsson, right? And
right. No, he's dead. He's dead. Sorry. No, his head is gone, man. You see that guy bumping around the arenas? His head is gone, never to return. So and it wasn't stolen by Jones. Jones gave him hope. It wasn't stolen by Jones. It was Rumble. Rumble who destroyed him.
Yeah, that's true. So there you go, man. It's got to be one of those cats. I mean, if it's not them, then who the fuck is DC going to fight? And he sure as shit can't put his career on hold waiting on John Jones to get his shit figured out. So the better question is, who do we think's going to win this fight? Who do we think will fight DC next?
That is a good question. I mean, Eugene, who would you pick in this one?
You know what? I used to train with Rumble, man, and I didn't like him. So I mean, I used to train at the same place with him, and I didn't like him. And I could go deeper into that, but I'm constitutionally incapable. And I know Teixeira to pick him, and Teixeira, the guys at down at SLO, San Luis Obispo, these are solid guys, man. Hackelman, all those cats. So I'm not able to think rationally about it, and I'm just gonna say, I'm pulling for Teixeira to win. What
about you, Fred?
I agree with Eugene. I'm pulling for Teixeira to win, especially because I think if he can actually knock AJ out, it'll give him a lot of momentum, and we haven't seen him versus DC yet. So that's a little funner for me because I think if AJ does win, we kind of know what to expect with him in DC. Like, he rocked DC hard as fuck in that first fight, and he still ended up getting that ass whooped. So I just think DC's a bad matchup for AJ. Although I will say, AJ is a fucking weird cat, right? You see this fucking guy at 205 now. Can anybody believe he used to make 170 and look like a goddamn cheetah?
Yeah,
I can't fucking believe that guy actually made that fucking weight.
He's a wrestler. He's got that in his mind that he could do that. But you know what fucked this shit up? Age tricked him. I remember when all of a sudden I couldn't drop 30 pounds like that. I was probably about 26. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting fat. Yeah, that's what happens, man.
No, definitely. Now, UFC 204 is a ways away, but Dan Henderson's already making the rounds on media, right? And he's talking about, I mean, he's going to retire, win or lose after this fight. But rumblings are that the UFC doesn't believe that. UFC thinks they can be able to talk him into fighting a little more, right? Now, Jesse, like, you know, Dan Henderson's what, 42, something like that, 42, 43, whatever. Do you think the UFC will be able to talk him into staying?
I think that they shouldn't talk him into staying. I think they should let him stay on that course and even make him stay on that course. I think it'd be the best story possible for a guy his age, win the title and then walk away from it. I mean, there's no better way to leave the octagon than as not only a winner but as a champion. Not many people get to do that. You know, and pretty much solidify, you know, his win over Bisping. And forever keep that logo, you know, in his, who was it? Was it Chael Sonnen that said he has that logo on his TV?
Yeah.
When he turned it off. So I mean, you know, why do you wanna taint that and, you know, be a Randy Couture or one of those guys that, you know, goes out on a loss, you know, getting knocked out or something like that horrible. You don't want to be that guy. I mean, if you can go out on a win, go out on a win. So I just don't think that they should try to convince him otherwise.
Yeah, and a lot of people were actually complaining about this fight. They were saying, why are you giving Daniel Hendo the fight? First of all, I was a big fan of this fight because I still remember Hendo going airborne and dropping a fist. Not only did he go airborne and drop a punch, it was accurate as fuck. Right on his goddamn chin when Bisping's on the ground, and then Bisping started having a fucking seizure immediately. But
I love that because I think he did it on purpose.
Fuck yeah, he did.
Because the ref can wave his hands unless the ref dove on Bisping. Yeah. That was going. That is like, fuck that. Johnny Utah pulled that ripcord. Bang. That's it.
Yeah, you know that ref wasn't going to jump in there and eat that punch for good old Bisping either. Fuck that. Nobody's doing that shit. But you know, Fred, when you heard this fight was actually getting made, did you care? Or like, you know, were you like, you know, agree with it, disagree with it?
Yeah, I'm down with it, man. Actually, for me personally, I think the middleweight division has been a little muddy since Anderson lost, quite frankly.
Yeah.
It's been a little muddy, man. So, you know, the belt's been playing hot potato. And then Michael Bisping ends up with it. Let's be fucking honest. I like Michael, but I would have bet my left nut a year ago that there was no way that Michael fucking Bisping ends up being the middleweight champion. But lo and behold, here we are, right? So since he's there, fucking Hendo's about to retire. Why not, man? Do a fun fight. Here's what I hope happens. I hope Hendo fucking wins, and I hope he does retire, and he sells off into the sunset, and then we get to have a nice, fun tournament to crown a new middleweight champ where we can get all these guys like fucking Jacare and Yoel Romero, and fuck it, throw Anderson in and bring Chael's cheating ass back. And let's have an old school fucking Pride Dream-style tournament, man. And then I feel like if we do that, it'll be the first time that we'll have a middleweight champion where everybody can kind of rally behind and be like, yo, he deserves it. And because, you know, I don't know. Does anybody really feel like Bisping deserves the belt? He low-key didn't deserve the shot. He did defeat Rockhold. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think it's cool, man. It'll be interesting, and it'll give the middleweight division something to be excited about.
Yep. And I tell you truthfully, after he beat fucking, I haven't been a fan after he beat the deaf dude, you know, robbed the deaf dude as far. I haven't been a Bisping fan, but I'm finally like sort of come, and then he like I poked the guy and then punched the other guy in the nuts. That Bisping's a dirty as fuck guy, but I actually felt that justice was served here because anybody who's holding a belt who is not like Andy Grove, the guy who used to be the head of Intel, wrote that book, Only the Paranoid Survive. If you are not hunkered down in the bushes eating rat meat and training like a fucking lunatic, you're going to lose that shit. Bisping said, Rockhold said, I didn't take him seriously. What the fuck were you thinking? What were you thinking? You know?
True.
What, you think he's in there because he sold some Girl Scout cookies? Get the fuck out of here. You know, fight. Like the person on the opposite side of the cage is trying to take your lunch because that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm getting drunk now, man.
Oh, shit, here we go.
And Fred was mentioning a lot of these guys, like we talked about it on the previous Advocates, you know, it resets the middleweight division, you know, with Dan Henderson winning the bout. But I think, honestly, you guys know my honest opinion. We're so far out from that fight. I won't believe it until they're in that cage in Manchester. They did book Vitor Belfort and Gegard on that card as a sort of a backup plan. I've been kind of referencing that. So that fight's there for a reason. But shit, man, the Count Bisping, he sees the opportunity. Luke took him lightly. He talked a lot of shit going in there. He was real cocky, and Bisping made him pay. So me as a big Bisping follower, since he was, he's been there. He's had a hell of a journey, and Dan's been on just a crazy run, knocking out. Just knocking people out. How old is he now? Is he 46, right? Dan Henderson's 46 years old, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so
he's a young man.
Yeah.
It's my way of saying fuck all you guys. Fuck all you guys under 50. Fuck you.
But no chance in hell does he continue to fight. Say he does win. If he's going to win, I see him winning in probably impressive fashion. But, man, what would it be like for Michael Bisping to be at the high point of his career, going on this journey, becoming the champion, and then, later, 6 months down the road, he's knocked out by Dan Henderson, and then he loses the title, and basically he might be retiring at that point too as well. So in that year, shit, Bisping's riding the high right now, King Bisping as we stand. But in Manchester, I want to see that fight take place because Dan Henderson kind of put a reset to that middleweight division. But like I said, Fred is missing one key guy in that middleweight tournament, and I think Eugene knows what I'm talking about. He goes by the name of Chris Weidman. What do you do with Chris Weidman?
You know what?
Well, Chris Weidman finally came correct and was like, okay, all right, I'll fight Rockhold again. It's like, yeah, fool, that was your only fucking option. What are you talking about? You want to challenge this guy and that guy. Come on, stupid. Get out there and fight Rockhold again. If it was a fluke, are you going to magically have a neck problem again? Come on.
Yeah, and the thing is, and Wyman came out today saying it's embarrassing that Bisping's our champion. You shut the fuck up. You shouldn't have lost to Rocco then, bitch. The fuck is that shit?
The guy's in a lost battalion, man. He has no idea where he is. He's windmilling against the fumes. What? Come on.
Right.
Rocco,
it's embarrassing
shut up.
to you, Chris. We don't fight in the middleweight division.
Yeah.
Your embarrassment.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah. Neither do we.
Yeah.
Fucking Rockhold, man. That dude, what's funny, for as talented as Luke Rockhold is, going into that fight and getting knocked out by Bisping was the worst thing that could happen to that dude. The worst thing. Next worst thing would be losing to Weidman again, or this next fight. It would be fucking ridiculous. All right, let's talk about a couple more fights here before we end, because we're almost at the hour mark.
Actually, man, I gotta go. So I'm just a guest. So I'm gonna flee.
Hey, man, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
All right, brother. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. I'll do it again if you like it.
Anytime you want to come on, dude. Anytime. Just hit us up, and we're on every Wednesday, dude. So whenever you want.
All right, cool. All right, man. Later.
All right, later.
Bye.
See you later, bro.
Dude, all right, so Eugene asked, Dave set that up. Appreciate that, man. That guy's fun as hell. If you haven't seen him, like his stuff, like our YouTube immediately, people were like, "Holy shit, it's Eugene!" Like people love this dude. He's funny as fuck. So.
Yo, listen. All bullshit aside. Y'all should watch his show, Knuckle Up, man.
Yeah, Knuckle Up
is really fucking fun. It's an interesting take on the MMA atmosphere. A lot of these MMA podcasts are boring as shit, man. Sit around and break down the fights the same way. He's got a good left hand. He's got a good right high kick. Eugene makes that shit interesting. Next thing you know, he's telling stories about fucking whores and his days back in Vogue. It's fucking fun. Tune into this podcast.
For sure, man. All right, let's just talk about this real quick before we go. The next title fight that we got coming up, and I think that's going to be Stipe Overeem. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motherfucking Cleveland.
Are you going to that shit?
Yeah.
Are you going to try?
Say what?
Are you going to try to go to that shit?
Man, hell nah. All due respect, I don't give a fuck about Stipe.
Damn, dude, that's fucked up. They did have him in the Cavaliers.
Listen,
what?
Cleveland's like fucking 4 hours away, Jack. I got kids. I'm broke and shit. I can't make it up there like that.
Hey, you guys can get to Toronto, but can't get to Cleveland. Fuck out of here.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. I done spent my money for the year, Jack. My vacay days are done. I wish him fucking luck, though, but, I don't know, man. Stipe's got that feel for me for some reason, man. Like we've said it before, it feels like a lot of the champions right now are just like placeholders or something, man. Maybe Stipe will make a fool out of me, but he just doesn't feel like the guy that's going to keep the heavyweight belt for a long time. Hell, nobody has defended that belt more than 2 times. I have a hard time believing that Stipe's the guy to do it. He's a good fighter, but I don't think he's got that, what's the word, that je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah. You don't got that something special, man. I could very well see Overeem sleeping him for real. Like, I think that's a fucking 50-50 fight at best.
No, I think so too, and I don't think it's gonna be very easy to take down Overeem. You know what I mean? That dude is a pretty good takedown defense. It's gonna be hard to take him down, and if Stipe isn't fucking ready for it, Overeem's not gonna chase it after him and get caught with a freaking counter the way Verdum did. You know what I mean? But look, Overeem's down in ABQ, man. What have you seen from Overeem that makes you think he's gonna win this fight? Besides, the monster striking.
Yeah, like I noted to you guys, when we were messaging about it. I seen Alistair training in the gym last week. There was nobody else in the gym but Alistair, John Jones, just the main, the high-profile guys, and me standing there. And they don't allow a whole lot of people, to watch them train. So Alistair, if you want an early take on, on training, he was working a lot of ground game. So don't be surprised if you see Alistair Overeem put Stipe Miocic on his back. But he says he seems like he's the hungrier wolf in the fight. Alistair looks fucking fantastic in the gym. He looks great. Yeah, he looks very on it, and he looks like he's ready to go. I mean, we're not too far out from that bout. It's going to be exciting. If he can bring that heavyweight title back to Jackson Wink, I mean, yeah, he's doing all the right things to make it happen up in Cleveland. So, and Stipe's got that hometown sort of a curse going against him. I mean, a lot of pressure. But
I thought about that.
Yeah, when they book them like that, it never really always plays out in the best way. So it's like, hey, it's not in Vegas. They're taking place up in Ohio. So I'd love to see Overeem victorious in that one, but I think it's going to be a straight-up war. I think these guys are really we're going to see some great heavyweight bout for the title.
Let me tell you something. You know who's fucking rooting for Alistair Overeem?
Cain Velasquez.
The goddamn UFC brass.
Oh, yeah.
The UFC brass. This fucking guy's been the biggest fucking bust in the world. They need to finally get some money out of this prick. They fucking got him years ago thinking he was going to be in this spot, and he just kept on fucking losing when they needed him to win. So I'll bet you they're thinking, fuck, come on, at least hold the belt for a fucking time or two so we can finally get some fucking money out of this Alistair Overeem fucking cow, man. Because he hasn't really done what he was supposed to do. You remember, man, when he came to the UFC, he was coming off them fucking K1 titles, fucking cracked Mark Hunt's skull and fucking Dream and shit. Like, he was the fucking man. And then, he lost a couple really big fights and shit. So I think the UFC would probably like to see Alistair finally become the star that they've been hoping he would be since they signed his funny ass.
I mean, look, it's pretty obvious. Overeem wins. Cain Velasquez is next, right?
Definitely. I mean, yeah, like I said, Eddie, your boy, you can't deny Cain. He was impressive. This heavyweight division is going to continue to build up. I mean, you got guys like Derek Lewis coming up. Rashid Magomedov, he's on a hot streak. There's a list of guys. I mean, the heavyweight division could get real interesting and be at its deepest here by the end of 2016. So, yeah, don't count out the Black Beast. He's creeping. But I think in the meantime, the three guys to look at is the title bout with Stipe and Alistair, and then you got Cain Velasquez set up for the possible winner of that bout.
Definitely. And the thing about that, too, is obviously Cain looked amazing against Travis Brown. And he looked a little, healthier, looked different. He threw freaking wheel kicks and shit. Against Overeem, he's going to have to be like a wrestling clinic, right? He's going to have to, because I know Overeem is hard to take down, but this is Cain fucking Velasquez we're talking about. I think he could take him down. Maybe not easily, but he could take him down.
You know what? To be honest with you, I think he can obviously take him down, but I think that's how he'll get beat. Hold on one second. What?
This is real life. This is some real life shit. Ah, he muted us. That's bullshit.
Yeah. I've got people at the door. I gotta go. Listen, I don't think it's smart for him to do that. I think that fucking Alistair should fucking, you know what? Fuck it. I don't know what the fuck I think. I lost my train of thought. Everybody, I have to go too. Have a fucking good night. I'll see y'all next time.
You too. Later, man.
Later, Fred.
All right, fellas.
Man.
Right.
Honestly, I think this is like the best way that shows can end. Just lose one at a time. I forgot to say, Jesse left a while ago, and he told me on Facebook chat, he was like, hey, I gotta run, and I tried to get in that last point, but Eugene's too goddamn funny, and I totally I fucked that up. But anyway, so just letting you guys know, Eugene, of course, you can literally just Google him and you can find him anywhere. Jesse's over at Spawat1983 on Twitter. Fred is at Kirby_MMA for sure. You can find those guys there. They're great follows. For sure, hit them up. Let's end on this, man. Nobody was talking about we were talking about John Jones for a little bit, but nobody was talking about exactly what they think is going to happen. I mean, we saw that Malkikawa tweet with a smiley face and shit, and we immediately thought, oh, he found something. But they haven't announced shit, right?
Yeah.
So What's your prediction on that? Do you think we get he gets lucky and gets 6 months, or are we gonna have to see John Jones come back against a brand new crop of 205ers in 2 years?
Yeah, well, if it's 2 years, that time period, I mean, Jones is going to come back to a whole new world at 205, and it's going to be a totally different John Jones at that point as well. So I think this fight here, I mean, just John Jones is like his story. I mean, it just gets more and more interesting as it goes, and it's like he is the greatest. He's the greatest MMA fighter that there's ever been, but he just continues to have these problems, these setbacks. Coach Wink had a recent interview I read, and there's somewhere he says, John Jones is the only guy who beats John Jones, and that's absolutely the truth. I've seen Jones train in the gym. I know him personally. When I walk into the gym and when I see him, I mean, just the stuff that it's outside the cage, I never really talk to him about it. I mean, that's kind of his own deal. But as a fighter, John Jones is the greatest fucking fighter that there's ever been. So I'm really, really hoping that a 6-month suspension somehow falls through for him. Like you had referenced before, Eddie, about the Yoel Romero, that he suffered another 6 months. So if that's the case, then Alkikawa is the fucking man at that point. So, but that gets John Jones back in there in early 2017 as opposed to 2019. So I think what they do have set up, though, what I know about is late September is when they have the official hearing in which they're supposed to announce it. I mean, I thought it was sooner than that, but I think it's late September. So, but like I mentioned, though, I see John on the regular. When I do see him, I observe him training. Talked to him for a bit, and it has nothing to do with outside the cage stuff. USADA involved stuff like that. But going forward, I'm hoping for the best for John. I'm one of his biggest supporters. I mean, shit, he's gone through a whole lot. I mean, Albuquerque hasn't been that good to him, and he's made a lot of shitty decisions. So going forward, that could be the best case scenario for Johnny Bones is the 6 months in which he gets back as soon as possible. But when you're talking 2 years, he's coming back to a whole new world, and in the meantime, who holds down that 205 division, Eddie? I mean, who does Cormier fight? I mean, we're talking about it like, what the hell really goes on, Yeah,
I have a hard time believing that DC can hold down 205 for very long. I really don't think. If age and time don't catch him, somebody's going to. Like, you don't. DC is not. Here's the thing. To me, the problem with John Jones not being around is you lose that aura of the unstoppable monster, fucking crazy guy that everyone wants. You lose your Anderson Silva at 205, basically, right? And you replace him with, but you replace him with Michael Bisping, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's much like Fred made a real good point on one of our show. I think it was Advocates 3. He said, back in the day, in the old era of the UFC, we had Anderson Silva, we had GSP, BJ Penn, these guys that are just like, anybody questions at them being beat. It's not even a question. It's like, there's nobody going to beat this fucking guy. So John Jones is that guy. He's the only guy with that title right now. So going forward, like I said, I'm the biggest John Jones supporter. But I honestly, right now, as we speak, I'm going to tell you guys and our listeners and everybody, John Jones and Daniel Cormier will never fight again. That fight will never happen.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Honestly, even if he only gets 6 months, I still don't see that fight ever going down again, ever.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of what it is. All right, a few things here on YouTube and just a little quick announcement before we go. Where is it? Kasim says, we were talking about the Makikawa tweet. He says, when did Maki tweet that? It was a while ago. Maybe like a month, say like a week or two, or days after he got busted. It was when that smiley face came out.
And then to touch on that a little topic too, Eddie, like we mentioned it in the pre-show, like what is it, clenbuterol, the substance that he tests positive for. I mean, they're saying that came from tainted meat. I mean, it gets more interesting as these USADA violations come. It's tainted Red Bull, it's tainted noodles. It could be anything. So I mean, this is what I read, and that's what they're saying. It possibly could be from tainted meat for certain regions of the world, in which that guy probably where they think that came from, in which he's not going to suffer any type of suspension. So just to touch a little bit on that topic, I think Eugene could have clarified that substance and what it's used for, and he's really spot on with shit like that. So the guy we didn't get to, I mentioned that to him, but that's something where, in the news, it's like, hey, it's now tainted meat, it's tainted kangaroo meat, it's this and it's that. So we don't know what the fuck it could be at this point.
Look, when you're facing a ban of 2 years, you become a fucking lawyer immediately. Look, if they couldn't find tainted meat or anything, they would have said something like Jones got real fucked up on coke and sucked the dick with the shit on it. Okay, it's not his fault. He did nothing wrong. All right, literally, it can go that crazy. Real quick before we go, Jody says the big thing is JBJ, John Bones Jones, obviously, will be off from probation. with long suspension than when he's staying on the straight and narrow. Oh, okay. Basically, if and when he comes back, I mean, obviously he's got his probation for the shit that he pulled before. Who knows? I forgot how long that is, but supposedly this is really not going to he gets busted for this shit. It's not going to fuck with it, right? Supposedly he's just going to be with his professional career, but he's going to be off probation at that point by the time he comes back after 2 years. So will he stay in a straight and narrow outside of fighting? Will he, stop hitting pregnant women with cars and shit? Will he stop doing all the crazy cocaine shit and get in trouble out of the cage? Like, basically, will he straighten his life out? Do you think that's even possible? Especially if he stays in Albuquerque, where it seems like most of he's got a lot of bad influences.
Yeah, man, it's such a tough call. I mean, like I mentioned before on the show, I mean, just so many times that it's surfaced, on the front page news of the Albuquerque Journal, John Jones, telling a cop off, calling him a pig. He's in an orange jumpsuit. I mean, he's had tons of bad luck. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm one of the biggest John Jones supporters. I'm still his #1 supporter here in Albuquerque. I see the guy every time I go down to the gym. So I hope that he can just kind of, keep his cool, stay grounded, stick to, the family and stick to the gym, and then Coach Wink and Coach Jackson, because, yeah, that's where he's what John Jones is all about. So when he's in that cage, he's a whole different animal. But that's the John Jones that I focus on. That's why I said when it involves like his personal stuff and with USADA, I'm not one to really question that with him. Like I said, I know him personally, so that's something where, hopefully it pans out for the best for him. He's had a ton of bad luck, and I think Johnny can pull through, but it's a long road. It's going to be a long, tough road for John Jones.
Yeah, like I said, in that topic, my opinion, he's got to reset everyone around him. Everybody. Got to get rid of everybody and start over. Maybe not his coaching camp and his teammates and shit, but definitely whoever is in his personal life that keeps telling him, yeah, snort that shit. That's a good idea. People like that.
I want to see Johnny back in there. One thing. That's what I told him when I seen him in the gym. I said, I just want to see you back in that cage, man. It's just been so much just bad shit here in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's like the minute he moved here, I think he had one title defense, and then after that, it was just nothing but bad shit happening for him. So John is the fucking man. You cannot, they can deny that. So.
Definitely. All right, a couple of announcements here. First, we were supposed to have Ricky Palacios, Ricardo Palacios, on the show here to talk about Combate Americas. Unfortunately, there was a weird mix of things. We weren't able to get him on. But if you are in Los Angeles tomorrow night, Combate Americas Ochos Cohen is going down August 11th. Go to combateamericas.com for information on that. There's also an open tryout. So if you want to fight, especially if you're Latino, but if you want to go fight, definitely hit those guys up. El Gallero's going to be there. Palacios going to be there at the open tryouts. And also, Ricky, he's an entrepreneur, man. Started his own food truck. So if you're in LA, you're around the area where you're going to go to the fights, for sure hit up his food truck. It's El Gallero food truck. Definitely, I haven't been able to eat anything there, but Jesse's going to go. He's going to hit that place up. Jesse likes to eat. I know that shit for sure. But he's going to be at the fights. He's going to be hanging out with that guy. Palacios he's a really good dude. Last time we had him on, legit baller, dude. That guy's he's a really good guy. He's really cool, and he fights. So not fighting tomorrow night, but he will be at the open tryouts. So again, if you want to try out, you go to combateamericas.com. There's an open tryout registration. Now, I don't know if it's too late. Obviously, with the night before, but it's a tryout. I would assume there's a way to sign up, like most places there are. All right. So and then the other thing, and I want to see what you think of this, Dave. Mackenzie Dern, you know that name?
Oh yeah.
Of course you do. She fine as hell. She's actually going to be at. She's got her fight set up for. I think she fights for Legacy. I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
She's got that set up. That's not what I'm talking about. She's actually headlining a grappling event here in Phoenix on September 17th. I forgot who she's taking on, but it's gonna be for the featherweight title, whatever they want to call it here. But to me, the more interesting point, my professor, Jay Pages, he's a Kyotera professor. I study under him at my jiu-jitsu academy. He's actually in the co-main event against one Benson Smooth Henderson. Benson Henderson, nice. Which I'm excited as fuck about. 175 pounds. If you're in Arizona, for sure hit that up. If not, I don't know if they're going to be broadcasting it. I want to say somebody should. Once I find out those details, for sure I'll put it out there. But if my professor's going to be fighting, I'm going. Especially against a guy named Benson Henderson. Woo! I am pumped for this. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely sounds good. And like I said, if you get with Gamblu down there in Phoenix, Eddie, make it all happen. Make it happen down there. Get an interview with her. Or, you know what I mean? Because like I said, the Power MMA people, definitely Gamblu is the man down there. So.
For sure. All right. Well, everyone kind of left already. So Dave, they can follow you at Dave's MMA Brief. Also ESPN Radio. Hit him up on that. You can follow me at ELAW31. The MMA Advocates are at the MMA Advocates, as you can see on the little thing down here. Oh, look, man, what a show! It ended up being it ended up being kind of I don't know, I want to say like a gaggle fuck, but it ended up being, it started off kind of like, kind of a little weird, and then Eugene came on and shit got downright crazy. I think this is like one of the funniest episodes we had in a minute, for real.
Yeah, well, we're not gonna stop anytime soon. It's gonna get crazier. So if you think you know who's gonna be on, you won't know until you tune in. So we have no cards booked this weekend. So we'll be back with everybody next week. Appreciate everyone listening. Check out Eugene, Knuckle Up, Bloody Elbow. You know where he's at. Fred, Kirby, Jesse, and we'll be back at you all next week, next Wednesday, same time.
100%. All right, fellas. I was gonna say one more fucking thing. I can't remember it. Fuck it. We'll catch you guys next week. All right. Oh yeah. Shit. I almost forgot. This will be up on SoundCloud tomorrow, which means it'll be up on Stitcher. I don't know what the hell's going on with iTunes, but I'm kind of done with the whole Apple thing. They're annoying the hell out of me now. So SoundCloud and Stitcher, especially Stitcher if you use it, but SoundCloud can be on there. Free to download, put on your iPod, listen to it, then take it off of there, because we get new episodes every week. And thanks for joining us. Shout out to Jody. Shout out to Mike, Kasim, Jesse, who was on here for a while, Nick Polecki, who was bitching about it and I was not starting on time because he's at work. Of course, Mike Jarbs was on here. Shout out to Andrew Reed, everybody that tunes in. We really, really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys in the next one.